so we can get going. Adam and Laura will not be joining us tonight, and I didn't hear about Paul, but he can catch up if he joins. So I'll call the meeting to order. 7:03. We'll start heading down the. Should we start with the agenda, or do we want to jump ahead? The folks who are joining us. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we'll take the agenda out of order, and we'll jump to the FinCom budget review. I see we have our FinCom representatives on the line. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Okay, so let's begin. Catherine, you've provided them.
Yeah, you got copies. I don't know if you have specific questions. But the biggest difference is that the capital planning committee has asked us to incorporate IT capital, which averages about $11,000 a year, incorporate that into the operating budget. And so we won't have IT capital anymore, but it will be in the office supplies section of the budget, and you can see the $11,000 there in that change category. The books and publication went up a little bit to keep us certified, and Noble went up a little bit, and that's a contractual increase, and almost all of it is ebooks and materials. So that helps us for circulation. And I also increased professional services, and those specifically are hotspots, which are little devices to get access to the internet, and those are really popular. People like those, so we put that in.
That's for circulation. That's not. It's not for the staff, right?
That's for circulation. Yeah, that's circulation. So that counts towards.
Towards our books, right? Our
it's a
certification number.
Yes,
yeah.
Because it's a Library of Things item. The personal services change is my contractual change. There are no added hours or positions. It also includes steps and administrative COLA, but the librarian's contract has expired, so the numbers that are there are the last numbers that we have for this year, and that will that they are starting negotiations now. So I don't know if you had specific questions. Did you also get the narrative section?
Yes, we do. We have it.
We have,
okay.
Yeah.
So I believe the narrative section, anything that changed, I put in red. I didn't increase the utilities, and that is an incredible crapshoot. And we've been giving money back consistently. And the problem with the estimates from the gas and light department is that on our end, we've been doing things to sustainability types of things. So we've been saving. We've been doing really well. So far, when you track this year, those utilities seem okay. So I know Steve prefers to not pad it and to, make up the difference later if there's a problem. So that was sort of the idea on that.
I'm not sure if I followed one item. Catherine, is your contract for fiscal year 25 agreed and signed by everybody?
Yes. And that happened in a public meeting in May, so there's a recording.
So that's a done deal.
Correct.
I Joe or Teray, you want to have any questions? I'm going to formulate a new one. Go ahead.
Yeah, so my question is actually not about the personal services. I suspect we're probably going to get into that a bit. It's just I often look at the trend line. So obviously the goal is not to, encourage town departments to, spend all the money in a certain category, but, I'll look at trend lines. So one category I was looking at is vehicle allowance. Again, it's small line item, only $1,000 budgeted, but the trend is like very low over the last 3 fiscal years. So I'm just curious if Catherine or someone could just talk a little bit. I think the note says that that budget is used for travel for meetings and continuing education. Like, what type of meetings would library staff be traveling to? I'm just curious to what happens.
We typically, and we haven't used it because of the pandemic.
Okay.
But we typically, many of us go to Noble, which is in Danvers.
Okay.
And not since the pandemic, they've been doing more meetings on Zoom, so we haven't had to do that.
Okay.
I am now the vice president of the executive board of Noble, and within a year I'll be president. So I'll be using that often. I'll be traveling often.
Okay, that's helpful to understand. Thank you. So that's
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anything else, Teray?
No, not for me right now. Yeah.
Joe?
No, I'm okay, Dan. I know you had some questions and I do too on personal services. So why don't you
Want me to fire away?
fire away?
Yeah. So I tried to do the numbers. A couple of things. Catherine, you mentioned to me that there was no surprises when we chatted, and then you sent me the budget, and I'm sorry, a 25% increase in your pay is a surprise. And at 25.8%, it's going to raise questions. And I think everybody on the trustees certainly know that I've been a strong supporter of the library since, I don't know, 1987, 1986, something like that, 35-ish years. And I'm going to have to go before the finance committee and say, oh, by the way, we have one personal services line item that's going up 25.8%. And that's going to be a tough thing to swallow. Then on top of that, if you look at the grand total on a tax levy basis, we're at 4.9% as an increase without the settlement of the union. I did some ballpark numbers in terms of who is union and what the increase might be, and I'm coming up with somewhere between 6 and 6.5% increase in the fiscal year 25 budget for the library over 24. And that's a big chunk. We don't know a lot about our other expenses for the town. We don't know a lot about state aid, although I did see the governor's propose some increases in state aid for municipalities and so forth, but that's got a long ways to go. So my concern is at 6 to 6.5% as an increase in the library budget, it could be cut back someplace. And if it is cut back someplace, personal services would have to be the spot that would go. And so what could happen, and I'm not predicting anything because I'm just one voice out of many, is that the finance committee could say, or the town council could say, you need to cut, $40,000 or whatever, some figure out of the personal services line. And if they do that, then you as trustees will have to figure out how you're going to deal with a lower personal services line item. And you have lots of options. You can let people go. You can't change contracts. You can't change the supervisor's contracts or anything like that. But you could also go to town meeting and say, we want to amend the motion and put your budget back to where you've got it here proposed. Or if circumstances dictate, it's possible down the road that you have a reserve fund transfer. But I just want to make you guys aware that there could be, or probably will be issues coming up from town council, probably from finance committee, and probably, well, maybe not town meeting because it depends how it's all put in motion and how people are informed of the elements of personal services. But a 6% to 6.5% increase in the total tax levy portion of the budget could be a very hard pill to swallow. So I just hope that you're aware that that is a possibility, that you may end up with getting less than what you expect.
Yeah, I would like to echo what Dan was saying. That's a very bad precedent to have this kind of increase when we have to deal with all the other departments and everyone else will want a 6.9% increase as well. I was surprised when I looked at those numbers, just as Dan was.
A follow-up question on Catherine's contract. It's a 3-year contract. What are the increases after 25? What percentage?
It follows what the town's unrepresented,
So maybe like 3% or whatever the town does?
whatever the unrepresented, yeah.
Is there any possibility of renegotiating that contract instead of having 25.8 followed by 3 and 3, just for argument's sake, we'll use 3 and 3, to having it more like, say, 14, 10, 10 over the 3 years? Any appetite for that?
I think we'd have to discuss that as a subcommittee.
Okay.
That's just something we thought of now. And you do all understand everyone on your committee understands the unique circumstances of why it was that much? Because I'd really rather not go into it at a public meeting, but
Right, agreed.
So I believe that they understand that. It wasn't lightly, and it was really a course correction that needed to be done right from the beginning, and for a variety of reasons was not. But for the future of the next few years and the future down the road of the library, we need to, I feel, and I believe my subcommittee does, that we need to correct that in order to maintain the kind of library we have, and and unfortunately, this is a unique circumstance that we didn't take this whole road lightly. So there's a lot that goes into it. So.
Now, I understood.
To Joe's comment, I believe the bad precedent was underpaying Catherine for that long. And I think we're correcting it.
I didn't follow that comment.
The precedent was we underpaid our director for a number of years from where she should have been. And it's not a bad precedent to correct what we feel was an error.
But it makes more sense to do it the way Dan suggested, to do it over a gradual period of time rather than one large sum. It does create a very bad precedent to have a large sum like that. That's what I'm saying, because your other departments are going to look the same way. Why not us?
So speaking on my own behalf and not on behalf of the trustees, it's important for me that the Finance Committee supports this budget. This is not something that this is one person. It's important, and it's important to the library, but I think you're laying out ways that it may possibly be able to happen in a way that will satisfy everyone. And if that's the case, I want to do that.
If I may jump in here, and I think this goes to the point that you just raised, Catherine, is I'm with Dan and Joe. I mean, I think it just, no matter what, it's just going to raise questions. I mean, we're the finance committee. That's inherently what we do. We're, so that's I don't think it's going to surprise anyone. But I think if we're going to go back to the committee and discuss this budget, I was really trying to figure out like sort of what we've used to try to justify supporting it. So I actually watched the video from, I think it was May 24th last year when the subcommittee did the report. And the part that I was still a little confused about is I understood the comparison of the range of similarly situated contract-based employees. I think it was a range of like 90,000 to 215K, and that was part of the assessment. But what I was having trouble understanding is the amount of comparison that was done with other library directors, because it's, would be considered to be a similar role. You're running a library system for a municipality, and getting a better sense as to where the requested amount falls within that range. That's the piece that I was trying to figure out, that because I think if we're going to be going back to the General Finance Committee to provide, thoughts and anything to potentially support it, like that's the piece that I'm struggling with. I'm not sure if there's anything anyone can speak to with respect to that.
It's really, well, in my opinion, after looking at a lot of it, there's 350 cities in Massachusetts. And when you look at what they compare and what they take into, it's comparing apples and oranges of what you're talking about. Some of them have contractual people underneath them, some people don't. Their hours are all, for a director, is 35 to 40. There's a wide range. It's really difficult to find any comparison. Then you would also have to go back and individually evaluate how many years they have in service, how many, what the contractual things are. So it's really almost impossible to compare that. But when you look at our library, just in the physical part of our library, how it's part of the town, you'd have to really, it's unique, and it really is. So from our standpoint, traditionally, what we have put into the library as a town, and what we have put into paying people fair wages in contracts and upper management in the library and in the town, it is in keeping with that, I believe. There isn't, the equity law in Massachusetts is, do you compare libraries, or do you compare directors and their responsibilities? So, I'm a newcomer. I've only been here since, 1986. So, I'm a newcomer. But in that time, that's what the town is about. And that's why you're all volunteering. That's why we're elected officials volunteering, because, we care about maintaining that. So that's the confusion of that.
Thank you. Yep. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was trying to cut you off. I thought you were done. Yeah, I was going to say, go ahead.
It's something that, we've been looking at so specifically and long term, but it's really difficult to find a comparison, in my opinion.
Understood.
So,
Understood. Thank you for that perspective. And I will say that, I was kind of struck by a point that I believe you made at that meeting about the fact that I think because the assistant director is under contract, and I was actually shocked by how close the salaries are right now. So you all were kind of trying to create more of a spread, given the fact that the library director is obviously a much more responsibility. You're in charge of the system and completely get it. So I think from my perspective, I was not surprised that, particularly after 5 years, that you all wanted to address this. I think it's more of us as the finance committee, because I just, it's more than just the three of us and 15 people who have different perspectives. And I've seen people hotly debate increases that are much lower than this. So that's the thing that I was kind of wondering, whoa, how do we essentially justify supporting it? So again, I'm not making a decision either way right now as to whether I'll be supporting it or not, but I just wanted to share that perspective with you all as you all are thinking about the comments and feedback from us. So, but thank you.
Understood.
Thank you.
Yeah, and along those lines, one of the things that I did was try to get comparables. And what I found for Reading, Melrose, Burlington, Wilmington, Medford, Watertown, Beverly, and Salem, I was able to get their exact salaries that they're being paid for fiscal year 24. The largest is 121.4 at Reading. And if Reading gives them an increase of say 4%, they'd be at 126,256. And we're looking at 148,117. So to me, I've always gone back at Steve and said, if he wants to give somebody, a department head or any person, any kind of an increase, what are the comparables out there? What are other towns and cities of similar size? What are our peers doing in Middlesex County for that particular position? And he's always been able to generate something. And I step back and say, okay, yeah, so that's the right position and the right pay. It seems to line up. But, based on those 8 communities that I found who are all around us, I said the highest is going to be about 126,000, and we're looking at 148. So my argument to the rest of the FinCom is that, this is a peer survey of 8 communities, and it's okay. But I can't say that here. So that's one of my arguments of support that I can't use. I'd like to use it, but I can't.
But one of the differences is that we don't negotiate any of the other union contracts here at the library. The town does. So
Yeah.
that's the discrepancy between 2 positions.
Well, okay. Well, look at it another way. Oftentimes you say, we got really good people. We want to pay them real well. We want them to stay. And agreed, we love that. Like Catherine, she's done great work. No complaints about the work product. Absolutely none. Love it. But if she said, I'm going to try to go someplace for higher pay. Well, nobody's even close to the 148. The best you're going to get is 126 at Reading, maybe 130 at Needham, or 130 at Falmouth. They're both looking for new directors, so they're advertising for that position, and their pay scale is 130,000. So I can't use comps. That's just as simple as that. I have to come up with arguments that says this is above and beyond. And I'm with Joe returning. I was really surprised at how the salary compression between the assistant and the director is too tight. So I was trying to get something with a greater impact, a higher number. So I was thinking, some other numbers in the 130s, something maybe 140, something like that, and then smooth it out a little bit. But if you guys if you're willing and want to stay with the 148, then yeah, go for it. Go for it. But please come to the finance committee meeting all of you come to the finance committee meeting when we meet to discuss your budget. And I would recommend all of you go to the town council meeting and try to support it, because you're going to get a lot of questions on personal services, and you're going to get questions on the total that's going to be in excess of 6% once that contract is settled with the union. It's a big nut. It's a big nut. Hopefully we'll get some good news from the state and others, and it won't be so hard. But just be aware. That's my advice: is be aware, be prepared, because it's going to be. I'm predicting a little bit of a battle. Simple as that. And the rest of your budget, I'm great with. Everything else is perfect. I have no questions on the rest of it. I think you're in good shape with everything else.
With that, I agree with Dan there. The rest of your budget is fine. It's just the personal services.
So what I would like to say that the trustees probably don't want me to say, they're an elected board and they did due diligence, and I think they made a good decision. This is also a fight I don't want to have, and it's not a conversation that will benefit the town in the long run or the library. So I would like to find a way to manage the director's personal services over the next several years that adjusts it so that it's equivalent, that it's equitable within the town of Wakefield. It's an important position. It requires a master's degree and a lot of experience. And what we have now, I am retirement age, and what we are seeing in the profession is that the people with experience are in positions, and they're not leaving them because they're older and they have experience. So the new directors have no director experience. There's a new director in Stoneham, and she was a children's librarian, and she has no idea what she's doing. And everybody is helping her, and she's great. But if you want to attract people who are gonna, help you stay certified and are a little bit advanced and can lead a team of 30 people who they themselves are all new, our whole staff is turning over. I'm realizing things that I did 15 years ago, I have to do all over again because we're introducing new people. So it's important to me that the library has what it needs to stay the kind of place that it is, because I think we've all taken it for granted that this is a great place. And it looks so easy. And it's not actually that easy, and we want talented people. So we want to be able to get there. But given that, I'll go back to my main point, is that I want to do this. I want to be able to have the finance committee stand up at town meeting and say that they support this budget. That's very important to me.
Tina, I have a comment for you, and for the finance committee. I make a living on comparables. That's a lot of what I do every day in my job. Sometimes there aren't good comparables. There just aren't. There are so many variables what this position entails that there are not good neighborhood comparables for this job and where this is in this position in this facility. And after we looked at what was out there and made our decisions in personnel, we felt this was a justifiable number, absent some nice comparables to give you. And sometimes it's a gut when you analyze what's there and what you want to have and what you want to maintain and what the true value is.
Yeah, and that's great. I'm just saying, bring those arguments, bring that material, bring that data, to town council, bring it to the full finance committee, and make your pitch. Make your pitch. Because I mean, the alternative is you've got a contract, Catherine's on a contract, so she's going to get her pay. But if the town says the personal services line item is too high, then you need to think about where you're going to make some adjustments elsewhere, where you have room to make adjustments. I know you don't have much room, but where you do have room to make adjustments, you just think about how you're going to do that. That's all I'm saying. Just be prepared. That's all I can do is encourage you to be prepared.
We appreciate that.
The one other thing I'll mention that I noticed when you were talking about percentages, our trust fund income offset is lower this year. It's 52,070. I just got that from Kevin.
You're talking about the trust fund income?
Yeah, it's the offset from trust funds.
Right,
So last year it was 62,000.
Right,
This-
and no
So
change, yeah.
it reduces the tax levy.
Oh, yeah, because if you move that 62,285 with
Yeah,
some
it took-
kind,
We're
some
losing
kind of,
$10,000 there.
yeah, so you have an idea what the 62 ought to be?
Yeah, it's gonna be 52,070. We're losing $10,000.
Oh,
So
50,
so
52.
52,070. Kevin
Oh.
had to say it to me 4 times because I kept saying, what?
Yeah,
5270?
5270. Yeah, that hurts.
Yeah, so the tax levy will be higher, $10,000 higher.
That hurts. I'm just making adjustments to my spreadsheet to see what it does. Yeah. Yeah, so now you're looking at least 6.5% increase with my guesstimates of what the union settlement might look like.
And there's a couple of points there that do go back to that capital though. There's $11,000 in capital in there. So we, that's in our favor a little bit.
Yeah, no, I see that. I see that. When do you meet the town council again? Is that another 2 weeks?
It's in February, so we go to town council the Monday before we meet with finance committee.
Right.
It's maybe the 12th and the 15th.
Let's see. I have it someplace. So well, I guess where I'm going is that if there's anything that you can provide us, this subcommittee, Teray, Joe and I, regarding, support, please forward it to us so we help us get prepared. And pray that we have good income from the state. I think that's all I have. Teray, Joe, anything else you want?
Same, all set. Thank you. Thank you all for your perspective today.
That,
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. And thank you for the good work you guys do.
You as well.
Likewise. Thanks, guys. Hey, Jackie.
There she is, start of the day.
Hello. What do you got for us,
You're
Jackie?
like life size now.
I know, am I huge? That's
Hey,
great.
you're here. No, you're just here right
It's
now.
like she's sitting at the
Like
head
at
of
the head of the
table.
table. Yeah, right.
Lovely.
Alrighty, take a deep breath and we'll go to the secretary's report.
Okay, top of the agenda, acceptance of the secretary's report. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Okay, discussion. Anybody, anything? Nope, okay, we'll go to, we're still doing roll call votes, yeah? The motion to accept, Amy,
Yes.
Susan,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Jackie,
Yes.
and I am a yes, that is unanimous. Moving on to acceptance of the monthly staff reports.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion.
I had a question. Just
Go for it.
wanted to know a little bit more about the reimbursements for your personal credit card being late. So you're having to pay late fees on.
Yeah, so I don't have to pay the late fees because I just use savings to pay it, and so I don't, but not everybody has that ability to do that. So it's becoming, I don't think it's good accounting practice to do this. But I haven't heard back from accounting yet. There are some libraries who have town credit cards, and I think the town is gonna have to do it because there are too many places that, we would not have a website if we didn't, almost everything here is website related. And QuickBooks is now up to almost $1,000. So I'm one step away from not using it anymore. Cause it's become so expensive. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to do I'm gonna have to talk to town hall and see what's gonna happen about that.
Is that something we can help with, or
Oh, I think there's probably other town departments that are realizing this problem too. So, I think if I see people face to face, I send emails sometimes and then nobody answers me because they don't. So if I see people face to face, they'll, the next time they're here to check out a hotspot, I'll grab them and say, yeah, about that credit card.
So having physical plant fund,
Physical plant fund, yep. There's a lot going on there. It's all little things, fortunately.
but some of them don't look little.
I know, the one, I know, some of them don't look little, but then they have been, yeah. Everything that has to do with HVAC always scares me. And there's a leak outside these windows here. And we got 2 estimates to fix it, and one of them is $6,000. And I think I'm gonna have enough money to do that this year, because it would really protect that. The other estimate is like a Band-Aid and it's $2,000. So I could do that, but I'm kind of pushing for the larger one. And I think some utilities are coming in well, and I have enough money to do that. So watching it, and you can't do it now in the winter anyway, so I have until the spring to think about it. Yeah, and corroding pipes and.
Yeah. You start playing with that and
Yeah.
one little pipe turns into,
It's
Because-
like
Take this wall.
dominoes, I know, it's dominoes.
We always called it the hidden mummer factor.
Okay, anything else, folks?
I did spend some Keogh money that had been, somebody had said, can you spend that Keogh money?
Very good.
And I got a book. I am finding, yes, it's very difficult to find those books now. And I think in the United States, that topic has changed a little bit. So it's hard to find like this, what the donor intended, which was really sporting and military. But military in a sporting way, not so much military in a sniper way. So it's kind of been hard to find some books, but this one's okay.
Yeah, I didn't wanna create work for you, but it just struck me that
We should be doing it, yeah.
If there's no other discussion, we'll vote on the motion. Amy?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Chris?
yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Jackie?
yes?
And I'm a yes, it passes unanimously. Public participation, welcome.
Hi.
Would you care to give your name and then you can have a few minutes of the floor if you'd like?
First off, my name is Stephen Hun. I work around here. I work at the Amazon warehouse in Wilmington. But I heard that there was a new position opening here, the senior large assistant. So I wanted to take time to learn a bit more large by joining this meeting.
Very good.
I'm just listening, that's all. But
Awesome.
Yeah,
Well,
thank you. Yeah,
absolutely, welcome.
Welcome, it's awesome.
A particularly lively session you decided to.
Yeah, that was a lot.
Like, almost, no, never happens.
That's correct. That's correct.
Well, welcome. And if you have any questions, please let us know.
thank you.
Okay, correspondence, there was a couple of things, one from the state and one from the item.
Yeah, not true correspondence,
Right.
but kind of. Yeah, Val got in the item
So
because she's charming. She
I
is.
wanted to poke at that because what you highlighted sounded very nice, but if you read the whole article,
I know.
it's an airing of grievances, it seems like. So
We're not.
do we think it
we're
was
not-
sincere about us? Or-
Yeah, we're not included in it.
All right, very good.
Yeah, and somebody at the tax collector's office who is also, Dorothy at the tax collector's office is delightful. She is, so, yeah, that was nice.
Very good. Okay, moving right along to committee reports. Budget, I'm not sure if we have any more appetite for budget, but I
Pretty well
suppose
covered
we'll
that, I
have
think.
to understand our options at some point. Contingency planning, if nothing else.
Procedurally, does this go back to the personnel subcommittee? Does this go back to the board as a
Right, should
whole?
should we meet again and discuss or?
Yeah, you might wanna just meet as an entire board, and go into executive session.
Okay.
Because I think you are gonna have to look at options as far as coming up with, like explaining why. It's gonna be very difficult to do that without, getting into private information, I think. So, we're gonna have to look at other, and I think there are other ways.
Okay,
But we'll see.
So we should-
We'll see what you think.
we should plan on.
When is the
Yeah,
so
when
the
is
12th
the-
and the 15th are the town council and the FinCom meetings?
Town
Yes.
council's the 12th,
Yeah, of
and
February,
the finance committee is
yeah,
So we should meet before that
correct.
Okay,
as a board, as a whole.
as a whole board, yeah.
and it has to be posted, so
Right,
it would be a little bit,
Yeah, we'll have to move
and
quickly.
very little time.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's very little time, so I'll do some numbers and send them out. And you can meet and decide what you wanna do.
But you advise the whole board, not just the subcommittee.
I think it might save time.
Okay.
Have everybody on the same page.
Well, if it's not 9 o'clock, why can't we go into executive session in this particular meeting at the end? Under new business?
Not everyone's here.
Well,
We have a quorum.
we have a quorum.
We'll
Either the
see. Yeah, maybe we'll
subcommittee
see.
or
Yeah, let's-
everyone.
Let's see how
I
it
think
goes.
we don't have time to make decisions if I think we need to discuss in
Okay.
executive
Well,
session.
it sounds like
what-
Catherine wants to get some information.
We could do that at the end. I can send something out to you, everyone tomorrow too.
Yeah, I think we have time to plan something. We have a little bit.
Well, the subcommittee would be a contract. The entire committee is the budget. So
Right.
it's really two separate issues.
We could put it all together as one.
Right.
But I mean, it's two separate issues if we wanted to do something. We could do an executive session at the end of this meeting.
Okay, let's see if we
Do you know what I'm
Yeah, I think
saying?
let's see if we get through August
If we have,
first.
if
Yeah,
we
yeah,
have time,
yeah, I think,
rather, I just think it's very difficult to carry it together.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay, building and grounds?
Nothing on building and grounds. Oh, we got a bird feeder
Saw-
on
duly
Avon
noted.
Street.
Saw the bird
By
feeder.
choice or?
It's digital, so it takes photographs and sends, so we're gonna do it as a program. We're figuring it out right now.
Segue probably completely out of order on this, but are there children's programs not on the library schedule yet? Like the I'm trying to think when like elementary programs, escape room and arts and crafts classes, and all those sort of cool things that somebody in town asked me about it last week, that the schedule is kind of bare right now for the winter. There's like the toddler story times and stuff, but
Someone noticed.
okay, so is there a reason, is stuff coming up?
Yeah, we took 2 months off and the youth room did not wanna do this. It was my idea to just really cut back, to just do the story times, because we have a lot of other things to catch up on and new people. And we are looking at data to figure out what needs really are and what age group should we be reaching. And we met yesterday and had a really great meeting, and everybody really, I think, now likes the idea of having done this. And this week they've started outreach to different people, the very thing that I was gonna have you people do, talk with someone, they're all doing that too. And Casey already talked to somebody at the school department and got all kinds of information that we realized we're kind of treading water, doing the same thing over and over, and we need to take a break and figure out what really should we be doing. So there's stuff going on at the schools that we missed, we didn't know about, and it's because people are so busy, you know, you have to take a break every once in a while. So we thought this was a good time to do it, but we will tell people that it was noticed.
So something will come back probably before the summer reading program, like a
Oh, yeah,
spring
oh,
thing
yeah,
is coming?
oh, yeah,
Okay.
by March, by
You sound
March.
like those are 2 months.
That's what I said, they're probably just, you know, regrouping after the holidays and all that.
Yeah, we are seriously regrouping. It's a little bit too giving them time to do the strategic planning stuff, to start to get into that.
Tell me about the bird feeder a little more.
It's called a bird buddy, so you can Google it. You sometimes see it on social media, they're selling them like crazy. And they take photographs of the bird that lands, and they also take video. So we can put that on the screen and or post the photos or whatever. And identify the birds and know the bird songs.
Does it identify the bird for you?
I don't see
Or
that.
is it that kind of software that does identification?
We're gonna have a program with we have some bird specialists on the speed dial programs we've done before.
Yeah.
They were gonna come and help people identify them and talk about birds that are native to.
So it's like a bird feeder with like a ring camera.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Motion
cool.
activated and.
Yeah.
Huh, cool.
And so when someone tries to steal it, the photo will snap.
That's right.
The last picture will be.
Have you seen this person? Yeah.
Squirrel.
It's a squirrel.
Well, you know,
You don't know that till you can prove it though, so you have to.
It'll be like the Amazon guy.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it looks like fun.
And where is it?
It's on Avon Street, where they put the garden there.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Okay, moving on to the Friends. Who was our Friends representative?
Well, I went,
Yeah,
well, I went in
December.
December,
I went in January.
so, and it was very close to Christmas. It was all about the book sale and what's gonna happen and, you know, the immense concerns over not having storage. And, you know, what they're gonna do about that, what are the possibilities to do about that. No conclusions, lots of, you know, problems with it, but no conclusions yet. And that was Merry Christmas, so.
And happy New Year.
And Happy New Year.
Yep, I mean, you know, a good chunk was spent talking about the, you know, the Herd School, state of the book sale in general. They did touch on overall revenue, in 23 was up a little bit, but they expended more to the library, which is a good thing. So they were up 2K, but they expended 2K, more than the year before. So overall, it was 48K given to the library versus the year before was 35K, that's a good thing, right? They gave the library more. Memberships were about flat. They were a little lower at the time of the meeting, so 131 compared to 136 at the same time last year. So very similar, not a huge drop, but still kind of low. Yep, a lot of talk about the book sale and the herd, of course, herd conditions being poor, as you've probably heard. There was some discussion about, Jackie, check me, the name of the company was Bay State Books, I think, which is book boxes, right, kind of like recycling areas where, you know, absent a physical location like the herd, people can still deposit, you know, books and things like that at these book drops. They were researching that, that's kind of as far as it went. I think those were most of the major updates from the meeting, so.
Very good, thank you very much. Gift funds. Heard a little bit about Keo, but is there anything else anyone wanted to poke at?
I don't think there's anything else going on there. We're starting to expend some of the stuff, it's fine. Yeah, nothing else new there.
Very good. Legislative advocacy. Advocacy season is ramping up.
Yeah, in the correspondence section was the legislative agenda. There's some, and there are a lot of legislative breakfasts happening, but none in our area. And I don't hear anybody volunteering, and I think Wilmington's the closest, but that's not really our. So nobody in Noble has done it yet, even though we have a committee. And I think it's because several libraries are under construction, at least 3 of them, I think, are under construction. And there's a lot of new people, and, you know, I don't wanna raise my hand because it's like, we have a lot of new people too, so. But we have really good connections with our legislators, so I feel like we're in a pretty good place with it. If something comes up too, I'll send it. I know they're doing something on ebooks that I think is gonna go, get out of committee and go to be voted on. Which would be interesting. Massachusetts, I think, would be the first state to do that, if they get that passed. That's about all I know about that.
Okay, thank you very much. Personnel.
You heard bits of it from the budget meeting, so yeah, that's been our main order of business lately.
So there was a lot about personnel in the report, wasn't there? Or do we know everything now?
So Megan is now.
Megan is now head of tech services because Alyssa is going to Chelmsford to do IT. And Ryan will be leaving at the end of the month. We have somebody new at circulation, Ariane. Didn't I? I had to practice that name, it's Ariane. So pretty good, it's good, moving along. And it's not just us, I sent a message out and said, are people losing? And there are a few libraries, like Beverly's not losing anybody. But other libraries are really seeing a lot of turnover.
What's going on with the Melrose I'm not in Melrose very often anymore. What's going on with the construction there? Do they still have?
It's a little delayed, I think.
September, it was supposed to be the spring, and now it's September was the last I heard.
I think so, yeah.
Isn't that affecting our personnel?
No, not
Their
really.
people are coming here.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, oh yeah, their traffic is coming a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, but they're working out of a school building and they're pretty active. So, and I think maybe they're doing programming in another building or something, senior center or something, so they've been pretty busy, but they're anxious to get back into their building. MBLC has practically turned over 100%. Like every day, somebody else retires from the MBLC. Everybody that we've connected with is changed.
Yeah.
Andrea Bunker is the only one left, who's, retirement.
Yeah, is that what you're seeing is most of the reason for turnover is retirement, or is it
It's
a combination of that and just moving to other?
It's a lot of retirement, although somebody's moving out of state.
Okay.
Yeah, mostly retirements, I think, yeah. It's almost like they all came at the same time
Mhm.
and
They retire and then
It's like
everybody
the
sits up
graduating
and then
class,
now
so-
the
the
Yeah.
neighborhood's turning over.
That's right.
That's
That's
just
right,
what it's
yeah.
like. Yeah. Yeah, and suddenly the old folks on the block.
Was it funded at a time where it was all new people at once?
At
The Mass Board?
MBOC? Yeah, but they turned over a little bit, like one at a time. There was a woman who was there and then a couple of guys, but it turned over a little bit. Different positions. But now this year, it's all of them. Yeah, it's been amazing.
All right, I think that does it for committee reports, unless anyone has anything else. We'll move on to new business. FinCom budget review, check. Strategic planning interviews.
So what I would like you to do is email me, or email everybody maybe, the name of the person that you think you might wanna meet with. Does everybody remember what this is about? You're kind of.
No, I remember the strategic plan. I don't know who I
No,
would
can you
be
refresh
asking
my
to
memory?
meet with, but
Okay,
yeah, I remember.
So,
I had the same question.
Yeah.
you don't know who you wanna meet with? So think about somebody in town, and it can be anybody, it doesn't matter. But if it's gonna be somebody on the town council or in a parent in PTO, anybody who would or would not use the library. And you just wanna, either do a quick Zoom or meet for a cup of coffee or something. And I'll send you what I think is a little interview guide. It doesn't have to be a long conversation, but the idea is that the library's working on a 5-year strategy. We're looking to learn more about the community in order to identify ways that the library may be of service. And people have very firm ideas of what a library is, so they may not be aware of when or how we can actually be of use to them. So you can ask questions like, you don't necessarily have to ask questions about the library, but ask questions about that person's experience. So what issues, trends, problems, challenges, barriers are you seeing in your daily life? And do you have any thoughts or ideas about the library and its work? What ways the library could help you in your work? And it's kind of open-ended, you just wanna hear what people have to say, and almost anything is useful.
Sure.
But the fact that people make a connection with a library trustee, they've got a face, and then if something comes up, they might come back to you for something, or, this is probably how you already live, somebody called you and said, what's with the programs at that? So that's the kind of thing we're building, that, cause I think there are trustees and tons of people have no idea that there are even trustees.
We don't all make it front page.
No, it's true, it's true.
So you're gonna
That's a good
send
thing.
us what you just said?
I'm gonna send you what I just said, and I'll start like an email chain, and if people know, and if you don't have an idea, we'll try to go through the phone book and see if we can come up with some people.
Cold call.
Yeah, cold call. So we wanna do that relatively soon as well, because the youth from staff is doing it, and they don't wanna go to the same, especially if it's in the school department, they don't wanna go to the same people. Yeah, that's about it for that.
Makes sense.
All right, we will check our inbox.
Yep.
And our spam folders.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else on that topic? Very good. Blossom's early closure 4/27.
So we wanna vote to close at, we say 4:00? 4:00 on Saturday, the 27th. So that we can prepare for Blossoms. Oh, and I have another thing to go with that, and maybe we can vote together at the same, on both of them. We also want to close from 9 to 11 on February 12th, that is a Monday. And that is so that the staff can do, what's it called?
Organizational values.
Organizational values with Barbara Alevris. So it's part of strategic planning, and it's also part of like professional development. And we're doing 2 of them, and one of them we can do it while we're open, but this one we can't. We can't cover it in a way that gets everybody in the same room at the same time. So we would need to close that morning, and it's a good morning to do it because it's Monday. And we have enough time to send the information out to you.
So we don't need a motion to do those 2 closures, those 2 hours adjustments.
Probably 2 separate motions.
I'll make a motion to close early at 4 p.m. on April 27th for Boston's.
Seconded.
Okay, discussion? Hearing none, we vote. Amy?
Yep.
Susan?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Jackie?
Yes.
And I'm a yes, that one passes, and the next motion, close, so we open at 9?
We typically open at 9, but we'll be closed from 9 to 11,
So
so
we'll
we'll
just
open at
open
11.
Okay.
To open at 11 on Monday, February 12th.
Motion for the library to open on February 12th at 11:30.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion? Okay. All right, we'll vote then. Amy?
Yep.
Susan?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Jackie?
Yes.
And I'm a yes, that passes unanimously. Okay, IT committee.
You had an idea about an IT committee. So Jeff was in the building and the topic came up about IT and the assets and the infrastructure, cybersecurity, the issues around IT, and he was wondering whether a committee is needed. You know, you have the budget committee, buildings and grounds. Is a committee needed to provide oversight, communication, maybe advice on library IT? And if you did that, you'd probably want to define its purview. And the alternative would be to have ad hoc committees when specific things came up. But it might be nice to have a committee, it might be nice to have a few people whose focus is, everybody's responsible for the gift funds, but there's a handful of people that it's their focus. So do we want to have people with a focus on IT?
Yeah, so I, started for whatever reason, I'm very paranoid about such things, so I was poking at, what our digital, our cybersecurity posture is, and, interested in finding out more, and, we're paying for our own IT now, and we're controlling that as part of the budget, so it all seemed like a good opportunity to learn a little bit more, get a little bit more engaged, and, I was inquiring of Catherine what would be the right way to go about it, and we ended up thinking maybe subcommittee would be the way to go. So if folks are interested, I'm certainly obviously interested in being involved with that subcommittee, but interested to hear what other people have to say.
Do we wanna maybe, I'm all for it, do we wanna maybe consider doing it at the May meeting? When we sort of realign all the committees anyway, so that it could be, balanced out, or do you think we need it before that, or?
I don't know that there's urgency, I don't know that there's not urgency.
Sure.
But
We don't know what we don't know.
Right.
Every month that you waste.
Yeah, right. But I mean, at least waiting another month would give folks some time to think about what exactly the responsibilities of that would be.
Yeah.
So if you wanna give folks some homework, and maybe we can either bring it up again in February, or kind of hash out what the purview is, and then hand out the assignments when we do the rest of the committees.
You have ideas already, I assume, of like what this committee would have oversight over?
Yeah, you know, we have a lot of stuff. We have two things in this building. We have books and electronics, and we have a great handle on the books, and we have a couple of people who have a great handle on the electronics, and I think there's a possibility for some more here. You know, we have our native hardware, but we also connect into the town, so we have certain commitments and exposures there. We connect into Noble, so that's mostly protection for us going through Noble. But anytime you open a pipe anywhere, there's possibility that something bad comes back over the pipe. So those kinds of things, and then we talked a little bit about cyber security training last year. The weakest point of defense is always people not really paying attention. So there's an aspect of that might be part of it too. Making sure the staff is trained. That starts to get fuzzy, but just kind of understanding what it is. The trustees are as responsible for all of that stuff as we are for curating the collection, right? So just knowing a little bit more about that, getting our hands around it. If we're not interested in standing up a full subcommittee, I'll just annoy Catherine on my own time.
Make it off, make it
Well,
off.
if you didn't have a committee, what we probably could do is add a section to the, a more robust section to the monthly report.
And
we
yeah,
have tech services right now, and they'll run a list of, I did patches, I did updates, I did, so there's things there, but maybe I would add more information about that.
Yeah, and I'd be interested in hearing from you and Jackie. The point of this is not to create work for the two of you or for the staff. I want to.
It's something that it's a weak link for librarians, which is why we have Noble. And so when there's other people involved who have something to contribute, it's always a plus. And especially if you have information from outside the field, what is the rest of the world doing? That's always good for us to know. Because we're not in the private sector, but we know people who are sometimes, but I don't think I even do anymore.
Okay, so we'll mull it over, folks, and we'll keep talking.
Sounds good.
That's the end of the official new business. Items not reasonably anticipated by the chair. Is there anything folks either want to talk about here or get on the agenda for next time?
Probably the personnel information.
We're going to go into executive session. We have 45 minutes.
So
We have a quorum.
we definitely do. Is there any issue with public meeting law because we're going into executive session? Like do we need to have posted that this was happening?
I don't know that. I don't think so.
I don't think so, but I want to
I've
ask the
ever seen
question.
it listed somewhere that the committee is going into executive session.
Well, I think we have to state it, and then you have to state whether you're.
We might not even need a motion, right?
But yeah, you do need a
You do
motion.
need a
Yeah, it's
motion.
okay.
And then you have to say that, that's the end of the meeting, that you don't have to come back to
Public
it.
portion.
Okay, wait, maybe we can. Executive session should be listed as a topic for discussion on meeting notice, including as much detail about the purpose for the session as possible without compromising the purpose for which it's called.
But isn't that under items not reasonably anticipated by the chair?
Convene an open session, take minutes. Presiding officer cites reason for the executive session. States whether board will reconvene. And then there's a roll call. I think we can do it.
Yeah,
Oh, wait, only for the trustees.
This is the individual to be discussed has to be notified, but you're here.
There isn't
If
any.
there isn't an
Yeah.
and it could be construed that this is simply a continuation of the agenda item about the FinCom budget review.
Right. To discuss that. Yeah, the reason is fine, it's just whether or not it had to be posted first, but it is part of the same topic,
Yes.
so I think it's okay.
And we didn't anticipate it.
Okay, so I'm open to that if folks have the time to stick around. Would we be reconvening afterward, or would we just be ending the session with the executives, ending this meeting with the executive session?
And the meeting with the executive session.
Make a motion to adjourn this meeting and open a meeting for executive session.
Second.
Okay. All right, we'll vote. Amy,
Yes.
Susan,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Scott, Jackie,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. So we will enter executive session. We will not reconvene after executive session. I'd like to thank everyone not on the board for attending this evening. I appreciate all the hard work from everybody. Thank you very much.